What's good, YouTube? This is just a quick little something about how being careful what you take in. I just came up with that thought because I was watching Fridays with Tabby Chance, right? And they were talking about trying new things. She said she was going to try some new things this year. And I also had watched Melissa and her sister Mel on Jenny G's podcast. And that was not it. It was The Bold and the Beautiful with Melissa and Kevin with Angel and her husband Marcus. So they were doing like vision boards and just talking. And Melissa mentioned something called the 12 weeks or something like that. You know, setting goals in 12-week interims and trying to get to those goals. And then over the course of the year, you've attacked so many things that you had wanted to do and get it done. But so I saw that, and I saw Tab talking about trying all this new stuff, trying something new every day. I was like, that's a good idea, and I just left it there. All right. So how about the weekend comes, and me and my little cousin, we go on a cousin date, and we both, for the first time, go try ramen at a restaurant. So that was one thing that I did new that day. I also made this hat that day. I've been making these little ruffle hats lately since last year. And I made this one to match what I had wanted to wear on that date that day. And then I just happened to wear it today and realized it goes so well with this sweater. It coordinates really well with this sweater. But and it just happens to do that. It's not like I planned it or anything like that. Then the next day, I decided to make myself a hat because another cousin was having a Mad Hatter themed brunch, and I was like, let me make myself a hat to go and wear at her brunch party. And it's this print that's out that I see a lot of celebrities and influencers wearing now. It's this, right? And I had that in mind. I said, I want to make myself a hat with that kind of a print in mind. So, and I'm actually going to put the picture in right about here. I actually made myself a hat with that design in mind and wore it to a little Mad Hatter brunch. So that also was something new because that was a design I had done that kind of stitch before on some other hats, but the way I did it, the brim part and putting that stuff on there to make it look similar to that, that was my first time doing that. So that was another something new. Another something new. This viral hat is viral on TikTok right now. This here. I'm like looking at it and I see all these people making it and I'm like, well, that's cute. And I did have a bag full of scrap yarn. And I was like, I'm going to make some beanies out of it. But what I had in mind to do with the beanies is not this, okay? So this was another something new I tried. I started one yesterday. I had to frog it because I didn't do enough chains from the beginning. It was like super, it was short. It was going to be just being able to pull over. A person wouldn't be able to fold it like the one in the picture is folded. But when I Googled this, it's a hat by a company called Supreme, as y'all saw. But my whole thing is somebody's selling it on something called StockX for $346. Somebody buying this for $346. For real. And then I saw some of their other hats like this. And like this. And they all saying like $153. $15 for shipping, $10 for tax. And these are hats like that I've made over the course of my crochet career, addiction, life, or whatever. But I mean, I'm not gonna knock nobody else hustle, but I've seen a lot of different crochet things on different websites for so much money. And when people ask you, when they see something you have and they like it, they be like frowning at the price. But I'm wondering, for them to make this like this and sell it, somebody's buying it. Somebody's buying it. That's just the reality. I tell you, crochet life and trying to sell your crochet stuff is not easy. Most of my stuff has been things that I have made and gifted it to people. A few things I've sold, like I've sold a couple hats like this. But for the most part, like, people see it and they love it so much. But because it's something that you're making with your hands at home, they think they can like rip you off and bargain you on pricing. Like, they be wanting to pay, oh, it's handmade, so you should be only charging me only $10, $15. They don't realize how much yarn costs if you go into the store using gas to go to the store to buy the yarn, or if you're getting it shipped to you and how much that costs. They don't take that into consideration. Like, for instance, if you're not a crocheter and you're watching me right now, just know, this hat in particular, this part up here, it takes, if I'm sitting down and I'm crocheting fast, and usually I'm not crocheting fast, but when I'm sitting down, just this part at the top that's on my actual head, this part takes a good hour and a half to do. And then you got to do these ruffles. And with each row of those, it's more stitches to do and to go into because of how many stitches it starts with. Like, to get this to ruffle up like this, you got to put several stitches in one, like 4 or 5 stitches inside one stitch to get this, to do this. This right here alone can take up a whole skein of yarn, depending on what type of yarn you're using and how big the skein was when you bought it. And people want to give you $20 at max for something like this. This takes a lot of yarn and it takes a lot of time. Just this ruffle part alone can take up to 2 hours sometimes. For me, I don't know about other crocheters, but for me, this ruffle part can take up to 2 hours. Sometimes it takes more than that. So y'all gotta be starting to appreciate these people that sit there and make something with their hands. Because another thing is, this video went to a whole nother tangent. I was talking about doing something new and I'm going off on a tangent about crochet, but hear me out. When you're making something, crocheting, remember, you paying for a person's time, the time it took them to make it, their materials, the cost of materials, and the fact that it's going to be one of one. Nothing I've ever made is the exact same as another. I might use the same stitch. I might use the same pattern. But the color play, like the color scheme and all that stuff that I do, it's going to be different. So there's like anybody who's got something for me, it's not 2 of them walking around with the same exact thing. I'm always switching it up some kind of way to make it different. So when you get something, it's a one of one, okay? And you need to appreciate people when if you ask them to make something and they give you a deal and say, all right, just pay me for the yarn. They're not charging you for the time it's taking them or nothing like that. Like, y'all gotta appreciate us people who do crafting and handmade stuff. It's not cheap. And if you're willing to pay supreme $100 and something for one hat, like beanies like that, depending on how many colors I use and how much I pay for that yarn, I'm only charging, not only, but I'm charging between $25 and $30 for one hat. But that, like I said, that depends on how much I had to pay for that yarn and how many colors I'm using. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the people who craft a little more, okay, y'all? It's funny, like, I made my sister a hat like this. This one was fairly easy. The one I made my sister was not. It took more work. I did it with granny squares. So I had to make 5 granny squares. Did I? No. I made 4 granny squares. Sewed them up all together. And then had to crochet a circle at the top to close it up at the top. And I did ruffles like this on it. Somebody saw her with it and said, "That is cute. You got that from Shein." I went on Shein myself and put in crochet hats. You know what I saw? I'm going to show you. The hat my sister has a lot of ruffles like this. None of the hats on Shein has these ruffles like this. And I've seen people talking about those hats like, yeah, they paid $5 for that hat off Shein. But guess what? A bunch of other people got the same exact hat. And I've heard from others that quality of it is not that great. Like the hat only lasted them 1 season. They only got to wear it 1 winter. They didn't get to wear it after that because it came apart. These hats I be making, they be lasting a long time. My sister is still walking around with hats that I made her when I first started making hats, and that's been 13 years ago. So again, appreciate the crocheters and the knitters and stuff. And stop getting them confused. Knitting, 2 needles. Crochet, 1 hook. Okay? Crochet has holes. Knitting is this. There's no holes. See y'all. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk and my rambling. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.